I welcome you all to the free training series of Manage Engine Applications Manager. So the first topic we'll be seeing on how to monitor a website using the URL monitor in Applications Manager, where we'll be seeing about the monitoring of health and availability of a website. And in the second topic, we'll be seeing about the real user monitoring, which has not been released yet. It would be released soon, where we will be seeing more on the user level experience, which captures each and every transactions by the user of a website or an application. And in the third topic, we'll be seeing about the synthetic transaction monitor, which is also called as the real browser monitor in Applications Manager, where we'll be using an agent and a recorder to simulate the behavior of the transaction. Here we'll also be seeing on the user experience in different parts of the world. And in the last topic, we'll be seeing about the Webpage Analyzer and the brand reputation. So in Webpage Analyzer, we'll be seeing on how to break down the components in a web page, and also gives us suggestions on how to improvise the page speed. Brand reputation is more or less like a security feature where we'll be able to track website for any unwanted software, phishing, malware activities. So let's get into the topic. So the first topic is effectively monitor website performance end to end. Before getting into the topic, let's see one of the case study which I have read recently. In the year 2018, researchers have studied the 4 URLs to check the parameters that affected the response code of the URL. So these are the 4 URLs which you're seeing on the table. So if you see the third URL, the TTK URL has through the 404 error code, which clearly means that server did not find the requested website. So when the URL request was sent from the host to the web server, this web server did not acknowledge the sent request, and that is the reason that has thrown the 404 error code. Whereas the other 3 URLs was perfectly working fine, the request has been succeeded, and that's the reason of 200 error code. So the researchers has found that this 404 error code is possibly because of the response code, connection time, DNS time, etc. To know more in specific what exactly is the reason for this 404 error code, we have introduced the HTTP URL monitor in Applications Manager. So in this HTTP URL monitor in Applications Manager, we do constant check for a specified URL or a web page. We will be able to monitor both HTTP and HTTPS URLs. Also here we do monitor a predefined keyword. So for example, this particular keyword is present in a URL, you wanted an alert. Accordingly, you can go ahead, customize and monitor a specified keyword in a URL. So these are some of the parameters that we support in HTTP URL monitor in Applications Manager. Under response time, we do the average response time and the current response time. DNS time. So as we know, it is the time taken to resolve the website's hostname to IP. So in case if this DNS time is high, it means that hosting provider has some problem with the DNS server. Connection time. It is the time taken to establish a connection to the server. This helps us in discovering network latency, routing issues, server bandwidth problem, etc. First byte time. So this is the moment when the connection was created, how long it took for the first byte to transfer. Last byte time. So once this first byte of HTML is received, the web server sends the HTML, which represents the layout of web page, CSS and JavaScript. So these are some of the parameters that we monitor in HTTP URL monitor in Applications Manager. So quickly, let's see how we add a HTTP URL monitor into Applications Manager, and how the monitoring can be done and what are the reports that we can fetch. So let me go to the UI of App Manager. So to add a monitor, you just have to go to New Monitor, select Add New Monitor, and select HTTP URL under Web Servers. So once after selecting, the Add Monitor page looks like this, where you can give a display name. So for reference purpose, I'm just giving it as test, and I'm just giving the URL that I wanted to monitor. Give the polling interval, the timeout, and HTTP configuration. So if you have any authentication for that particular URL, you can give the authentication here. You can also give the response code. And if you check this box, it means that if any error is detected, monitor will immediately be scheduled to run once again. So if you wanted, you can go ahead, enable this box, give if an SSL authentication is enabled. So as I've already told, we have the content check option. You can monitor a predefined keyword in Applications Manager. So if your URL is containing a specific content and you wanted to monitor that, you can give that information here. Click on to add URL monitor. So once the URL monitor is successfully added into Applications Manager, you can view the details like this. So we already have one of the URL monitor which is added into Applications Manager. So I'm just going to that. So you can see the availability of the URL, whether it's up or if it's down, the response time, the average and the current response time. You can also see the response time split up, like what's the DNS time for that particular URL, the connection time, first byte and the last byte time. Scrolling down, you can also see about the page size. What's the current page size, the percentage, and what's the previous page size in bytes. So these are some of the information that we show in URL monitor in Applications Manager. And whatever attributes you see here on the screen, for all these attributes, you will be able to set a threshold profile. And once a threshold profile breaches, you will get a notification on the same. Also, you will be able to fetch a report. So for example, I'm trying to get the availability report. So this is how the report looks like. So you can fetch a report up to 1 year in Applications Manager. You also have custom time period. For example, you wanted a report from yesterday this time to today this time. Accordingly, you can give the start and the end time and fetch the report in PDF or CSV format. So this is how the report looks like. Not only for the availability, you can fetch a report for all of these attributes in Applications Manager. Now quickly let's go to the next topic. Resolve front-end issues that impact users with real user monitoring. So this hasn't been released till now in Applications Manager. It would be released soon. So if you wanted to test this real user monitoring in Applications Manager, please drop over the chat panel. We will share you an exe file where you will have like 30 days of free trial version to test this particular feature in Applications Manager. So before getting into the topic, I have read one of the research paper where I have seen in the year 2014, researchers have studied RUM using a user agent detection. Here they were able to detect micro outages compared to the synthetic transaction monitoring. So this was how the data collection was taken place. Like they have kept a sampling period for 5 days from 22nd of October 2014 to 26th of October 2014, where the data collection was taken place hourly. They have set a sampling limit for about 5 lakhs unique page views per day, where they have seen the traffic was about 4.3 million views, which was almost 100%. So here the scientist has interpreted that these web pages has faced certain lag and they were unreachable because of the high traffic, and also the researchers were not able to identify the exact area of the problem. So finally the researchers has concluded that if they have a monitoring tool, it would be easier for them to drill down the issues. Also, they will be able to identify errors like syntax, reference, etc. They will also be able to track each and every web page used by the user. They will also be able to see the specific region that's facing the problem. Also, the device and the browser types can be checked. So these are the conclusions of this, and this is the reason we have introduced the real user monitoring in Applications Manager. Now let's get into the topic. So in Applications Manager, the real user monitoring gives visibility into behind the scene performance of web application and accurate insight into end user experience. Here, we will be able to visualize the application interaction patterns, and also we can monitor in-depth understanding of any problem that's caused to a application or a website. So if you see for whom this real user monitoring will be very helpful, it will be more helpful for the front-end developers, project manager, technical leads, etc. So now let's get into the architecture, like how the working of real user monitoring happens in Applications Manager. So first, the user will have a small JavaScript snippet, and this will be injected in the header or footer of a HTML code of the web application. This particular script, I'll show it to you on the next slide. So once this script is injected, when the user is loading any website, the RUM script.js request will be sent to the RUM agent. This RUM agent will receive the request. RUM script.js response will be sent back to the user. And this RUM script.js will be acting as a data collector. It will be collecting various data like resource loading calls, IAX calls, the error occurred, etc. Now, once this data is collected, it would be sent back to the real user agent, which is further sent to Applications Manager every minute as a single request. In Applications Manager, this raw data will be inserted into raw tables, and then the data collection will be scheduled. So this is how the working of real user monitoring happens in Applications Manager. So coming to the script looks like this, where you will be asked to replace the agent, host, and port. So this is a script that you will be inserting in the header or the footer of the HTML code in a static element of your web page. So these are some of the parameters that we monitor in Applications Manager. IAX calls. So we know IAX call collects the data asynchronously without interfering display and behavior of the web pages. Under JavaScript errors, we collect three types of error. That's the syntax, reference, and the type error. Syntax error is nothing but the coding or the programming error. Reference error, it occurs due to non-existing variables. Type error, as the name suggests, it is because of the typing. Under resources, we group into first party, third party, and CDN resources. First party is the information directly collected from the user. Third party is the information collected when the buyer and the seller interacts. CDN connects the resources between a proxy server and the data center. Also, you can monitor the user sessions, what are the web pages the users are accessing, the device types, which browser the users are accessing those web pages, their internet service provider, and their geographic location. So these are some of the parameters that we monitor in real user monitor in Applications Manager. So quickly, let me say how we install this RUM agent and how the monitoring will be done. So first, you will be having an RUM agent which you will be downloading in your Applications Manager mission or in any other mission. But if you download it in your Applications Manager mission, just make sure you're able to access the UI from the App Manager UI from the another mission. So once a host, port, the API key, and all of that is given, you will be asked to insert this particular script. So this is a script which you will be asked to insert in the header or footer of the website. So it's already inserted here, where you have to replace it with the agent, host, and the port. So once all these details are given, you just have to go to the UI of App Manager, click on to New Monitor, add new monitor, select Real User Monitor under Web Servers, and give the details here. Display name, you can give any name as you wish. Enter the website URL that you wanted to monitor. Give the AppDex threshold. What's the framework type, if it's traditional or the single page application. You can give these details. If you wanted to track the IAX calls, you can click onto this option. Similarly, the cross domain of IAX calls. If you wanted to exclude any domain for monitoring, you can just give it in this field. Similarly, the user agents to exclude. So if you wanted to exclude any particular browser, you can just give the browser name here along with your OS type. You also have an option track resource performance. So in general, applications manager do not capture the website resources. In case if you wanted to group it under first party, third party, and CDN resources, you can enable this checkbox. Go ahead and add the monitor successfully into applications manager. So once this monitor is added into applications manager, you can view the details like this. So we have already added one real user monitor into applications manager. So in this copy script tab, you can see the script that which you have to copy it. You just have to replace with the agent host and the agent port and copy it in the header or footer of your website. Give the app key. So once this is done, in the summary tab, you will be able to see the AppDex score. AppDex score is nothing but the percentage of satisfied, frustrated, and tolerating users. It varies from 0 to 1. 0 is frustrated, 1 is satisfied. The response time of the web page, how many page views for that particular web page, and how many errors. You just scroll down, you can see the world view. You can just see in India location it has been accessed. When I just hover my mouse here, I can see what's the AppDex score in this particular region, what's the response time, how many page views in this region, their throughput, and their errors. If I just scroll down more, I can see the response time broken by components, like what's the redirection time, their connection, the DNS time, server time, all these response time broken by components. I can just see it from this particular graph. Also, I can see about the page views and their throughput from this particular tab. Going to the next tab, the geographic tab, it will be similar like the summary tab, where you can see in which particular location and what is their AppDex score for that particular location, the response time, page views, and throughput in a tabular format. ISP tab, in general, applications manager, we do not show this data. So if you have any third party API, you can go generate it and you can see the information under ISP tab. So this is one of the ISP name, their response time, their count, and their throughput. Browser tab, where you can see the response time of the browser. What are the browsers they have used, the browser usage split up, their response time, count, and the throughput. So whatever browser the user is accessing the particular web page, those browsers will be listed with their response time, count, and their throughput. The device type tab, where you can see the response time of the particular device they are accessing, what's the device usage split up, the port, their connection time, and the memory of that particular device. Scrolling down, you can see the list of devices along with the response time, count, and the throughput. You also have it in a tabular format if you wanted, the response time and the throughput. Under the web page tab, you can see all the transactions that the user is performing along with their response time, count, throughput, and the page size. If you wanted in-depth information about any one particular transaction, you can just click on to that particular transaction, where you can see more information on that particular transaction. So you can see the response time of that particular transaction, their AppDex score, response time, how many page views, Also, the response time split up by components, their throughput. These information can be seen for each and every transactions. Clicking onto the user session, you can see what are the average pages navigated, what is their viewing time, how many users, and total sessions. Just scroll down, I can see which user, what's the start time, their browser name, the device name, which country they're accessing, what are the pages they're navigating, and their viewing time. So these are some of the information that we show under the user session tab. Resources tab, where you can see the three types of resources as I've already mentioned, the first party, the third party, and the CDN resources. Along with their resource size in KB, their response time in millisecond, and the total count. IAX calls, if you have enabled that particular IAX ball checkbox in the add monitor page, you will be able to see which are the transactions along with the response time, their count, throughput, their size. So we just click onto it. It's going to show the similar information just like the web page tab, where you can see about the AppDex score, their response time, their throughput, and all of that. JavaScript errors. So as I've already mentioned, we have three types of JavaScript errors. So if you see here, there are only one error for one page, one file, and for one user only. Just scroll down, I can see it is a type error. If I just click on to the type error, I can see in which file that particular error has happened and which page that particular error, which browser when they're accessing, they got this error, what device, and for which user. So all these information can be captured along with their stack trace and the breadcrumbs. So these are some of the information that we show in the real user monitoring in Applications Manager. Now quickly going to the next topic. Optimize user experience via synthetic transaction monitoring. So in this synthetic transaction monitoring is also called as a real browser monitor in Applications Manager. It gives more details beyond the URL monitoring. This will be an agent-based monitor which will communicate with the website, and we will be able to capture the errors, network requests, page load details, and other metrics. Here also screenshots of the websites will be recorded. So whatever transaction you're performing, the transactions screenshots will be recorded. Here we also give flexibility to monitor URLs in different parts of the globe by setting up the agents in different branch offices. So let me quickly show how the working of the synthetic transaction monitor happens. First, you will be asked to install an agent and a web transaction recorder in the head offices of the location that you wanted to monitor. So once the agent and a web transaction recorder is installed, you have to start performing the transactions, like whatever transactions you wanted to monitor in the location, you can just perform those transactions, do a playback of the transaction, and add the monitor successfully into Applications Manager. So the supported browsers here is the Firefox, Edge, and the Chrome. In Applications Manager, we also allows to import own Selenium test case and run transaction, and you will also be able to monitor them. So this is how the web transaction recorder looks like, where you have to provide the host name of your Applications Manager, the port, and the API key. Once after providing that, you will be redirected to this page where you wanted to record a new transaction, or if you wanted to open a recorded transaction, or if you want to import a Selenium script. Once after doing everything, after adding the monitor successfully, you can see all these steps, like all the transaction that you have performed along with the page load time and their health. And as I've already mentioned, the screenshots will be captured along with the resource size in percentage and the resource count in percentage. So we'll also be able to see the waterfall model approach. So for each and every transaction, what's the redirection, DNS time, blocking time, all these information can be captured from here. So the main need of synthetic transaction monitoring is that you can do the playback script. So this playback script will contain everything like the screen, keyboard, mouse hovering, actions performed by the users. Also, we'll be able to isolate region specific issues and we'll be able to respond to user complaints quickly. So these are the main need for the synthetic transaction monitor in Applications Manager. So quickly, let me go to the UI and show how we add a real browser monitor into Applications Manager. So first you have to download the exe file and also the web transaction recorder. So once you do that, your end user monitoring agent looks like this, where you have to give the EUM API key. This key will be present in the UI of your app manager. So if you go here, you can just click on to the admin tab, select REST API, where you will be able to get the EUM API key. So you just have to copy it and paste it in this end user monitoring agent. Once it is done, you can go ahead and log in. So this is how the agent looks like. Next, you will be installing a web transaction recorder, which I've already installed. So once it is installed, the page looks like this, where you have to provide the host name. So I have installed in the same mission, so I'm giving it as localhost and I'm giving my uh, SSL port number of my Applications Manager, clicking on to connect, giving the username and password of my app manager. Once this is done, clicking on to login, click on to real browser monitor, and I can start recording from here. So I'm just going ahead and recording my manage engine URL. So I can just click on record new and start recording it like this, just clicking on to whatever I wanted to record. So I'm just doing that. So once after doing everything, I can just click on to preview and save, give the monitor name. Like for example, I'm just giving it as RBM test. Give the polling frequency, what's the page load time, what playback browser you wanted to. You can just select it from here. You can also create a URL sequence monitor. So once this is done, you can just go ahead, click on to next. Either you can perform a test playback or you can create a monitor. So you will get the success message stating that the monitor is added successfully. So once this monitor is added, during every poll, automatically the browser will open, perform the transaction which you have already performed in the background, and you can view the details in the UI like this. Let me just show you what are the details that we show in the UI of App Manager. So under EUM tab, you will have the RBM monitor. So here you can see what are the agents that you have set up. So you'll be setting up the agents in different locations, right? Those agents will be shown here along with the page load time and the transaction time in milliseconds. When I just click on to the agent, I can see more information on it. What's the page load time in graphs and also the transaction time. What's the page load time of steps for the step, whatever steps I have performed, all those steps will be shown in different colors in the graph. All the steps are recorded here, and also the screenshots for those steps will be captured like this. So during every poll, the screenshots would be captured like this, where you can see these information, the resource size percentage and the resource count in percentage. If I scroll down more, I can see for each and every step the response time broken by components, the network latency, what's the connection time, the redirection time, the start, blocking, download time. All these information can be seen. Like for each and every transactions, this information can be seen. So there are 3 steps that has been performed. So the 3 steps screenshots and their transactions are shown here. So as just like the URL monitor, here also you can view a graph, like let it be any type of report. You can fetch the report in graph form. Let me just show you one of an example. So you can see here the show poll data. So for each and every polling, what's their value and which time the polling has happened. The complete information can be shown over here. Similarly, you can fetch the report up to last 1 year. You also have a custom time period option. So whatever option you wanted, you can just select it and fetch a report, and whatever attribute you wanted, you can just select it and get a report in a PDF or a CSV format. So this is how the report looks like in a real browser monitor in Applications Manager. So now let's quickly go to the next topic. The web page analyzer and improve brand reputation. So in web page analyzer in Applications Manager, we will be able to pinpoint which area the speed is dropping, and we will also be able to improve the performance of website. So if you ask how you can improve the performance of website, Applications Manager provides you suggestions on how to improvise the performance of your website. Like if you compress these components, you will be able to improve it by this percentage. Like that, we give suggestions to improvise your performance of the website. And also, if any unauthorized alterations like HTML code is done to the website, an intimation will be sent to you in an notification form, like an email, SMS, whatever form it is. We'll also be able to nullify if any problems is caused due to web page defacement, and this will be impacting the search engine, page rank, and the traffic. So I have just added one of the website and captured the screenshot here. So for that particular website, I can see the page speed score is 77, which is a manageable speed. It's not very good or it's not very bad. Like 70 to 80 is a manageable speed, but this page speed can be increased to 90 plus. So if you ask how can I increase it to 90 plus, you can see the first two rules, the score is 100, which gives a grade A, whereas the third rule, the score has reduced to 73, and because of this, the page speed score has been affected and the grade is reduced to B. So if you see why this 73, we can see the speed is dropping. So these are the problems. If I just click onto it, all the problems are noted in highlighted points below. So by sorting out all these problems, we will be able to increase the page score. So for example, if you see the first problem, if I sort, I can save up to 100.4 KB. So similarly, I can do it for the others where I can increase my page speed score to 90 plus. So quickly, let me just go and show an App Manager UI, how we add a web page analyzer and how the page speed is getting monitored. So let me go to the UI of App Manager. So to add a web page analyzer, it is just the same procedure for all the monitors and Applications Manager. Just go to new monitor, click on to add new monitor, select web page analyzer under web servers, and give these details. Display name, you can give any name as you wish. It's for your reference purpose. Enter the web page URL that you wanted to monitor and the page load time, the HTTP method. So if you have any authentication for that particular web page, you can give the username and password here. So if you don't want to monitor a specific domain, you can give the domains to block field. Also, just like the URL monitor, you have a content check monitoring here. So if you wanted to monitor a specified content in a web page, you can give it over here. Similarly, you have an SSL certificate monitor. So if you wanted to monitor the certificate in a web page, you can enable this checkbox and monitor them. Click on to test credential. Once it is passed, go ahead and add the monitor successfully into Applications Manager. So once this monitor is added, you will be able to view the details like this. Let me just go to one of the web page analyzer which we have already added in our demo site. So in this overview tab, I can see the web page summary. What's the web page URL? What's the page load time? The request made, the page size. If I have enabled that SSL certificate option, I will be able to view the details here. Similarly, the page score. Scrolling down, I can see the response time summary, like what's the DNS connection time for that particular URL, the first byte, the document complete, and the page load time. Scrolling down, I can see the domain summary. So the complete domain along with their IP address, how many requests is made for the domain, their size, response time, and their throughput. So whatever domain I've blocked there in the add monitor page, if I've given, those domains will not be listed over here. Similarly, if you wanted to compare the reports for any 2 or 3 of the domains, I can just select it like this, scroll down where I can go ahead and compare the request. Let it be like any type of attribute. Let me just select it as size. So I can compare the reports like this. So this is how the reports look like. You also have the 7/30 report where you can see here the complete information can be captured. Like it's going to be a similar type of report where along with the time, the domain, which date, everything would be captured like this. So this is in this particular overview tab. Clicking onto the network log tab, I can see the information just like my real browser monitoring, the resources along with the status code of the resources, what's their size, the content type, and if I just hover my mouse here, I can see the response time split up for each and every resource. So this is how it looks like. Going to the next tab about the resource details, I can see the request summary, like what is the request type made, how many requests are made, and their size. Scrolling down, I can see the screenshots captured. This is just going to look similarly like the real browser monitoring. The screenshots will be captured along with the resource size percentage and the resource count. So if you see here, the particular web page, the image has taken about 51.5 percentage, whereas the script has taken 34.1 percentage. The CSS script has taken about 7.7. The others is like 5.3. So you can see all of those information over here along with the request count. Clicking on to page speed insight. So this is what I was talking about. You can see the page speed score is 84. So if you see, all these are grade A. The first 3 rules has grade A, whereas the 4th rule has the score 58, and because of this score, my grade has went to C. If I want to know why this 58 score and why my grade has went down, I'll just click on to it where I can see suggestions. So if I compress these resources, I can reduce the size to 1.1 MB, which is like a 75% reduction. So if I compress all of these, I can see how much I can save. So once I do all this, I will be able to increase my score, and because of the increasing of the score, my grade will also go increase. So this is how the page speed insights looks like. So everything is A, only this particular rule has brought it to 58, and because of that my page speed score has been affected. So this is about the Webpage Analyzer in Applications Manager. Going to the next topic. Brand reputation. So before getting into the brand reputation, let me tell you like why we have introduced the brand reputation monitoring in Applications Manager. So recently in this year on 12th of July, Romania and Greek police have arrested 8 members of an organized crime group where they have looted about $2.4 million. So their main operation was deploying the phishing scams on website where common people like us believed that they were legitimate websites. Apart from this, they also infected common people devices with malware and captured credit card details, bank account details, etc. So the main what happened because of this thing is that due to the phishing activity, there was a scam about $2.4 million from the online shoppers like us. And due to the malware activity, the ill-gotten data, that is like the credit card detail, the bank details, and all of that was shared within the criminal network. And just because of this, we have started the monitoring, the brand reputation monitoring in Applications Manager, which is like a security feature. So let me just show you. So this is about the brand reputation where we will be doing a constant check on the website and we will be able to notify if any of a website is affected. We'll also be able to do constant check if there is any malware or suspicious for phishing activity. So this is about the brand reputation monitor. Let me quickly go to the UI of App Manager and show how we add a brand reputation monitor. Just go to new monitor, add new monitor, just the same procedure. Go click on to the brand reputation, which is under web servers, and give the details like this. So I'm just giving it as test brand reputation as my display name. And I'll just give my URL as manageengine.com. And once I give this URL, I can also click on to discover web pages, whereas all the web pages will be listed under this particular URL. So I can just select what and all web page I wanted to monitor. I'll just go ahead, select whatever web page I want to monitor, click on to check connectivity. And once this success message I get, web risk API is reachable, I'll go ahead and add the monitor successfully into Applications Manager and get a success message. So once this monitor is added, I can view the details like this. So I'm just going to one of the brand reputation which we have already added. So here I can see what's the brand reputation count, their malware, phishing or unwanted software count. So currently it's 0. It means that nothing is suspected as phishing, deceptive or malware. I can also see all the web pages that I have selected. So whatever web page I've selected from the ad monitor page, those details will be captured here if they're suspected as malware or it's suspected as phishing or unwanted software. If not, it would be shown in a red, which means that that is suspected to be a threat. So during every poll, this will be monitored. So this is about the brand reputation monitor in Applications Manager. So we have come almost to the end of the presentation. Before ending this presentation, let me just explain about some of the features that we have in Applications Manager. So first, let's start with the reports part. So in reports, we have different types of report, like whatever type of report you wanted, like an at a glance or an availability report, or if you wanted an attribute wise report, whatever you wanted, you can just fetch a report from this particular reports tab. We also have something called as forecast report in Applications Manager, where we can predict the future. So let's take an example. I'm just selecting for one of the monitor. I'm just selecting the disk utilization. So let's take an example. Okay, today my disk utilization is 60%. If I keep utilizing it like this itself, in the next 1 year, what will be my disk utilization? If I wanted to know that, I can see in forecast report like this. So the first month my utilization is this much. So when I go to my 1 year or on 10 months, what will be my utilization if I keep using it like this? So I can see the complete report on it. So this is called as a forecast report, where we'll be using the machine learning technique in Applications Manager, where we'll also be able to fetch this report in a CSV or a PDF format. We also have a capacity planning report, where you can see the oversized, undersized and the ideal servers. So this is how the report looks like, where you can define the rules here, get it in Excel, PDF or a CSV format. So these are some of the reports that are available, and you also have scheduled reports in Applications Manager. You don't need to log into App Manager each and every time to check for the reports. So for that, we have brought something called as scheduled reports in Applications Manager, where you can schedule your own reports like this. So you can just give any schedule name as you wish. You can enter what report type you wanted, what's the report period, and generate the report for, like whatever servers or whatever report you wanted. You can just go ahead and select it like this. So I'm just selecting like the Webpage Analyzer or real browser monitoring. Whatever type of report you wanted, you can just check the box like this. And once you scroll down, you will be given the recurrence details, like when you wanted the report to be sent to your email, whether you wanted it hourly, daily, monthly or weekly, at which time you wanted the report to be sent to your email. You can just select the time. You can generate this report in PDF, CSV format and give your email address here, so that automatically when whatever time you have set here, the report would be sent to your email. So this is one of the option that we have in Applications Manager. We also have something called as downtime scheduler in Applications Manager. So downtime scheduler is something like, let's take an example. Your application or your server is going for a maintenance state. So obviously, you know, it's going to be down and you don't want alerts during that particular time. Accordingly, you can go ahead and set the time from which time to which time my application or a server or my database server is going for a maintenance state. So I'll just give the start time, the end time, and select which application is going for a maintenance state. Once I do this, I can just go ahead and click on to save button, so that during this particular time, the monitoring will not be done. Once the time completes, automatically the monitoring will resume. So these are some of the options that we have in Applications Manager UI. You also have an alarm escalation. Alarm escalation is something like, let's take an example. You have a critical alarm for a long period of time. I'm setting it like 2 hours. So there is a critical alarm for 2 hours and nobody acknowledges that alarm. So accordingly, you can create your own rule and do an alarm escalation. So this is one of the options that we have in App Manager UI. Also in Applications Manager, coming to the dashboard part, dashboards are extremely customizable in App Manager UI. So you can select whatever widget you wanted to show in your dashboard. Accordingly, you can go ahead, select your own widget and create a dashboard like this. So this is one of the dashboard that we have created. So the dashboard will look like this. You can also create a business view for your dashboard, or however you wanted, you can just create your dashboard like this. So this is one of the things that we have created. So we have almost come to the end of the presentation. So let's do a quick recap before winding up this session. So in the first topic, we have seen on how to optimize individual URLs for the better user experience. Like what are the response times split up for each and every URL, their page size can be monitored, the availability of the URL can be monitored. All these can be done in HTTP URL monitor in Applications Manager. The second topic, we have seen about the real user monitor in Applications Manager, where each and every transactions will be captured along with their browser type, their device type, what is their ISP they are using, all these will be captured. The third topic, we have seen about the real browser monitor. So where you can monitor in different locations what is the problem. So for that, the real browser monitor would be very useful. The fourth topic, we have seen about the Webpage Analyzer and about the brand reputation. Webpage Analyzer, where we have seen on how to improvise the page speed, and for the brand reputation, like a security feature which we have added in Applications Manager. Thank you once again. Stay safe. Bye bye.